we're gonna see it again, right? Where this player can just kind of bully people around the map, and if he's moving with teammates, it means that he's constantly not only able to be a player that flashes and entries and creates space for your team, but on the other side of that, you're able to get refrags. Sean is able to just like frag out against players that, okay, pause my last. V-push coming in right away here from the likes of Equinox. Gen.G being pressured, forced into the back of the bomb site. First kill goes the way of Gen.G, but the kills are coming back and forth, and PL1 being pressured so hard. Equinox is going to be able to clean that up, and the bomb site is theirs. DXN holding strong over here towards B main, but Vansili, the 3v3 retake, is on.
I saw that dink coming in from PL1 towards that back of the site, but it was through the wall, so you're still healthy for Pancakes. And he's even taking control of the sidewalk, so they can have this bait and switch from him being first contact on sidewalk, and then the Silva can peek out after. And there you go, Sean falls down. That's a big player to fall on this retake for Gen.G. And DXN is about to play just behind execution, and a second one onto win. And a much-needed pistol to gain that confidence back on Gen.G's map pick. It comes in favor of Equinox.
Oh, you love to see it. I mean, that 3v3 scenario going into the B-bomb site, you gotta expect that there's gonna be a B-lurk. Like, the smoke that you're putting out there, the Omen smoke, is not a definitive safety net whatsoever. And for DXN to kind of come out there and just clean it up is a good sign, I think. For me, I think Decop and DXN, the two, I think it was actually Cute Fatboy, was statistically underperforming a bit. But these players, I want to see them playing confidently and playing at the same level that the Gen.G players are, because you talk about support or your role or whatever, but if you're not playing a clean game of Valorant in your own individual skill, then you're not going to frag, and that's just the bottom line.
Yep.
A little bit of contact coming out from a B push. Gen.G gets spoiled by the fact of a really passive Mina back there in the default, just able to kind of catch wind of what the information is going to give them. And the idea would be, of course, to move back over to A and get a free bomb site. And get just that. Decop walks in with free real estate.
Yep. Even taking control of that sliding door first, taking control of that before taking the back of the site. Thank you to that Silva drone. But here comes a flash and also a push from Gen.G, and it pays off in their favor. So far for 2 kills, not too bad. And with the pistol that they have, they could connect with a couple of shots still. And here we go, unfortunately does not connect for GMD, not on point, where he's like, how come this guy's absorbing all of my bullets? It does come in favor of Equinox in the end. A clean round despite them losing 2 players, but again, it was the bonus round, in their favor, and they're looking for the same thing into this third. And I liked it from Gen.G though. They know they're on an eco. Let's just try to press forward towards this B main. Gamble to see if they're going to push in towards that area for Equinox, but as it doesn't pay off for that gamble, it's just harder for them to retake. But still to get 2 kills in the end of that, it was great.
Yep, Equinox will be moving into their own bonus round, not even opting to buy armor here, of course. Purely what they want to be a free economic advantage, and there's something really satisfying about watching that, but more on that later. The B push is already in, Mina's on site, and Odin rock solid for just a moment before Cute Fatboy cleans him up. The speed at which these SMGs are moving out of the site, GMD cannot handle it. Decop just sprinting at his face, able to collect the headshot, and now Gen.G forced back on their first gun round. The full buys yielding unfortunate results for them, but they're not going to exactly yield it quite yet. Win and Sean poised to press into the defender spawn area. It's only a matter of time before the flank comes in. However, will it come in time? DXN catching a trip. The jig is up. And some of this retake seems a little bit more precarious than it did a moment ago. DXN finds one that should be good enough, but he finds 2. Secure the round here for Equinox, and Win, there's not a whole lot you can do right here, bud, but maybe a kill or 2 to build up to that ultimate. He finds 2, and he'll get just that.
Decop even getting a frag with that picked up Odin. But what I liked about it, especially mechanically, you saw when that first player fell down from Equinox and they were hiding in a jet cloudburst. He actually used his flash, and I even think he shot it at the ground, which would actually blind everybody else that has line of sight on that sidewalk, but not blind people from Equinox right after. So that allowed them to move into a site, into a blinded defender, and even overtake that area, leaving it, I think, like a 3 versus 1 towards the back of the site. So I like that for Equinox. That was really beautiful to watch. That's going to put Gen.G on an eco into this round here. And like I said, this is a map that's picked by Gen.G. So to get 3 rounds, even Equinox choosing to take the attacker side first is actually quite interesting at this point. So we'll see how Equinox, if they can continue with this run, and it starts off super well because he gets tagged at the start for a win. He still manages, though, to get the dagger in the face of Peacock. So a 5-on-4, and a pushed-up player 1 does not connect with the Sheriff. He's going to get punished for that one, too. Another one waiting just behind, but it's going to be Mina. Then Win with the daggers trades it back. It's a 3 versus 3. The paranoia, he dodged it. He's in the back of the site, and we're moving in here for Equinox. Actually, it's slowed down from the cloudburst, and another headshot from Win.
This is why Jet is so powerful in the right hands, and Win turning this eco, which was ultimately, I think, foiled at first by those 2 great entries, not quite entries, but clearing out of A main was 2 kills going the way of Mina. I mean, he dashed in there, collected 2 headshots, seemed like, we have A. Come here.
We don't.
Free bomb site. And unfortunately, Win has other ideas. Moving back to B now. Gen.G does know. Mikhail has the
30
info.
seconds left.
They're already moving over to rotate and effectively retake, but for Gen.G, I think that this is a situation. They have only 20 seconds left on the clock. You can collect a couple guns, get the utility you need in store, and at least formulate a basic plan to retake this. And Pancakes knows that. Knowing that you're going to have the retake coming in a structured fashion means that you usually, man down, need to make a play. Searching for that now, pressing towards market is Pancakes. And if he can catch these defenders rotating in through the defender spawn into the bomb site, here's one, finds the first. Pressing further in. VXN gets the challenge. Mikhail now in a 1v1 with Pancakes. Only on 38 HP. Gen.G collects it. That is not quite a full eco. They had a light armor Sheriff buy into that, and they knew that the Jet ultimate being farmed the round prior would pay off. And wow.
For nothing.
Huge kills coming out from Win to get them started, and Mikhail closes it out in a nice 1v1. Gen.G, they're alive.
Yeah. I thought at that round when I said it was over was because Pancakes heard that drone coming out. He has the backstab opportunity as the rest of them were going to push out towards the defender spawn because nobody was flanking him from market, which allows him to get that maybe a 2 or 3K. But he whiffed a couple of shots against Win, which allowed for that reaction time to come forward. Win's going to call it out as he falls, and he's done his job already to get 3 kills with the daggers for Gen.G to retake that round and salvage those weapons at A main. Allowed Gen.G to retake that side with full weaponry as well. So a beautiful eco or a half buy for Gen.G. Even on top of that, you had, I think it's GMD that's playing as a silver for this round, right? So he actually purchased a small shield and didn't get a single point of damage into that round. So it's shown how strong that was on that retake play for Gen.G based off a slight mistake from Pancakes to not get that first kill fast enough.
Yeah, and we do have ultimates poised here for both sides. Sova specifically could have an impact on Breach, collecting his as well, but the knives are already out for Mina. So for Equinox now, this is obviously a round where they're going to be doing what they can to put themselves in a position to win it, but they haven't really claimed any significant map control thus far, and it's more about Gen.G over-rotating to the A bomb site and reacting, you know, mistakenly to the presence there earlier on. So this will be a foot race back to the B bomb site if the attack does in fact come in. There's only 35 seconds remaining here. Mikhail will make contact, and he does have his Hunter's Fury, so being able to prevent and delay a
30
bomb
seconds left.
It's not unheard of. Here comes the play. First kill coming the way of Mikhail with that scan dart. And the recon dart was successful, but somehow, despite the fact that there's 3 players on the bomb site, nobody shoots the dart. I'm sorry. I'm just a little frustrated by that, but regardless, 5v4 on the retake. 10 seconds left. Equinox firmly on the site now.
Yeah, my apologies. It's Mikhail playing as that Sova, and I love the way that he played it too. Usually they're thinking everybody's going to play that Sinatra spot, trying to spam that wall. That's why you saw that Rolling Thunder coming towards the back of the site. And I think maybe for the defenders are like, look, we might see that Rolling Thunder come through towards that B main. They played super passively for a retake into that B side. Now the Hunter's Fury comes out, and GMD connects onto 2 kills. They're retaking that site to only leave 2 players, but in critical positions right now on this crossfire. 1 to fall. Cute bad boy holds the better angle. They check the wrong 50. He lets the cross. He gets the first one, but the Odin's still up. He's jumping on the sidewalk, finally gets the kill, and thank God for that cloudburst. Allows Win to get the defuse, and Gen.G are 1 round away from tying things up.
Wow, I think that maybe that just boils down to a little bit of, and I hate to put it this way, but a little bit of experience maybe. Cute fat boy. That smoke is going to be up a whole lot longer, and obviously you're pressed for time there, but you got to wonder if maybe he just waited a second more, if he can clutch that out for his team. Bigger story there, though. Gen.G mounting an impressive retake. almost failed, of course, but the Hunter's Fury, Mikhail is really the highlight of that round for me. Being able to dominate with a Sova over at B is what's expected when you're playing this agent over there.
Yep.
And, you know, getting the recon scan successfully, getting a kill through the Hunter's Fury to collect damage and force people and displace them out of the bomb site. Got Gen.G a free round, and here it is. Win collecting a free frag of his own. Pick coming out from A main, and that's an operator kill that you need to be getting consistently, and he gets it there. And Van Silly, what do you think about this lurk coming in mid? I haven't seen this a whole lot from Equinox.
Yep.
And obviously this is just a pistol round for likes of Equinox, but I would love to see them making a little bit more aggressive plays, trying to find holes in the defense of Gen.G. I feel like a lot of 5-man takes and executes are being favored by teams right now, on ecos and off ecos. But regardless, this is a map where mid can provide avenues into bomb sites that are otherwise. Okay, here we go. The press comes in, and Win is caught over here on the bomb site with his operator, and Mina finds the first. DXN finds the second on Sean, and suddenly this is a very winnable round for Equinox in a 3v3 retake scenario.
Spike planted.
And they salvage a weapon on top of that too. Now they're peeking out, and it didn't protect the next company. He's still hiding behind the generator. Now at least Miguel on his own. The hat is up, so he spotted the last two players towards this door. He breaks the camera, but they're still waiting for a double peek for Equinox right now. He makes it a 1 versus 1, plays it perfectly, a shock dart. There's only a pistol left. He goes for the swing, and cute Plowboy falls. So thank you for Miguel for seeing that round for Gen.G. And you're asking me that question before here, Lex. What was that play for that lurk? I still like it. The fact that it was only on a pistol round gave enough information, because you saw the trap fire was set towards the back of the spawn side, which means sometimes they're also going to give map control for mid side that Equinox could take advantage of that on a B split. Not only that though, he maybe didn't get spotted by the camera, and he probably didn't spot where the camera was set up, but he definitely heard it. So that means that they know that that Gen.G is going to play stack here and there towards, or play super passively towards A or B, and they could take advantage of that. This round though, it seems as though they're adapting for player one. He puts a trapper right in front of Pizza.
Yeah, really impressive stuff coming out there, and I think, you know, we don't have any ultimates coming out from Equinox, but this is going to be a buy round, so getting that information that they're towards B early on, this is kind of what I'm mentioning, is that the rotates from Gen.G are so confident. If you just check the minimap, well, I guess I'll retract that a bit, because Jet did go back towards A. She had second thoughts. But ultimately, Gen.G's had the read time and again against Equinox. Hasn't always been a 100% success rate on whether or not they stop the attack or they're ready for it. But I think I would love to see, and the reason I highlighted it in the past round is it's so rare that we see Equinox making solo plays anywhere around the map.
Yep.
And we don't see it from Gen.G either. They're not flanking through. They're not trying to press their advantage anywhere too greedily. Is that a greedy? but
don't ask me, I'm the French guy.
Hey, it's all good. The B push is coming in. Sean pops his ult. Mikhail gets caught out, does fall on the B bomb site, but GMD holding steady on those stairs finds 2. Sean and GMD fall, and so for PL1 and for Win, this is now a 2v3 retake at B. You know, holding an operator in your hands, no knives to speak of, does make this a little bit more tricky. You need to catch a defender, or in this case, an attacker, defending the B bomb site out, maybe overpeaking a bit, maybe getting a little too aggressive. Hunter's Fury gets popped prematurely. I'm not sure it's going to connect with anything. Fortunately for the side of Equinox, it does not. But PL1 and Win opting to go for this, and there is one inside of B main. There's one on the sidewalk. That's challenged by both. Kills need to come out to the side of Gen.G, and I'm not sure he knows. I don't think it's going to come down to it. But here it is. He does catch him out. No. Pancakes needs to do it. 1v2. Knows that he doesn't need to necessarily make the play, but there's no other choice. Eventually, the tap is going to come in, and I think PL1 does have enough time here, and that is so razor thin.
0.07 seconds.
I honestly had no idea which way that was going to go, but the fact that that went with... The lines are connected.
Oh my god.
Legit, my screen had it was a lock. That's a defuse any day of the week. And the game said no. Well done. Pancakes buying just enough time over there at A main to deny the retake from Gen.G, which in and of itself was a little impressive. I mean, they were coming in there 2-on-3. The fact that it was even close was a testament to their skill level.
Yeah.
And it's not exactly a terrible round to lose. They have the operator on Win, and they're already back in it in this round.
The thing is, too, on that retake, you saw from Wynn's position, he held the wall on defender spawn, so as soon as the smoke dissipates, he just aims down the sight straight towards Bolt House, knowing that Sova is playing there because of that premature Hunter's Fury. The thing is, after that, as they get those picks towards that B site, somehow Pancakes doesn't get that frag onto PL1, and I'm like, it's over. How does this happen? How can it still move into the site and get that win? And I think at that point, you should have probably had, as you throw that hat, have Jet. He was closer at the staircase, move down, but, you know, under the pressure, you can't really time it out or have that real communication. So the luck came in favor of Equinox for them to win that round with 0.07 seconds left on that spike when it detonated. That was huge. But now they're going for an all-out push towards his B-side. Aftershock from the breach. The recon dart is going to spot GMD. So he's not even going to spray towards that back, and he almost got a kill. But thankfully, D-Cup, he tweeted out before, I'm not playing the greatest game on that first map. He definitely is now, helping as the breach of all agents for Equinox to move in the site and get these entries and also use the utilities that allows Equinox to move into the site.
30 seconds
now you have
left.
the Farn's Fury coming out from Mikael. That's going to deny the spike plant just for a bit. But there's still plenty of time to work with for them to go for this spike plant, after all. So a 3 versus 3, a healthy Gen.G. Can they retake the site here on A side?
Yeah, no flashes for Sean, which is unfortunate because a lot of the retakes do come down to whether or not he's able to deny visibility from the line of sight. But 2 players at Hell underneath Sean. Crossfire is good, but whether or not the kills come out have a lot to do with whether or not they're just going to hit their shots, and they do. Mikael playing 2 on the spray transfer, and suddenly this is a 1v1. Pancakes and Mikael.
Oh my god.
But Pancakes has other ideas. An excellent way to close that round out from the Omen on the side of Equinox. Wow, Mikael made that interesting for a second there. I really thought that the defenders of the bomb site at that point, you know, we're talking about Equinox here.
Yeah.
They were set up in a situation where I really did not see them botching the crossfire, and they stepped right next to each other. Mikael hits a nice shot, a nice spray transfer, almost gets it done. Pancakes coming up so clutch a couple times in this series, making the difference now for Equinox, who is up 5-3. Gen.G forced onto pistols once again.
Right there.
Well done there by Pancakes. Redeems himself on such a close round on that previous. That looked crisp, at least on that 1 versus 1 when he re-peeked towards the A main. And I do like the way that he played it for Equinox. That recon dart towards Heaven side was good enough for those 2 players towards Hell to get that wall bang into the first. But enough shots were being heard that they knew 2 were playing towards Hell, which allowed GMD to go for the swift 2K. But now Gen.G is on an eco. We see player 1 get spotted. He's tagged down to 54. The smoke planted still allows him to get a kill if he wants to. If somebody's going to push forward towards the backside of the A side where he could maybe punish somebody. But after a spike plant, we only have a low HP decop that could still go for fault lines and also for flashpoints up towards Heaven. And the recon dart, or should I say the owl drone, spotted another one here. And you know that it's looking very comfortable for Equinox to make it a 6-on-3. Big fault line too, that's going to waste a bit of time. And they're really playing off the recon dart from Mikael. And we have another recon dart that comes out, thankfully got popped out. But that, with this crossfire setup, it's going to be impossible for Gen.G to take. You're just trying to have some players die with the spike, but they know this from Mina. They know this from Equinox, and you're just busting them out. Okay, 2 kills.
Almost getting a second, GMD. Almost. You know, I'm going to sound like I'm nitpicking a bit here, but we just watched them sit outside of the bomb site for, you know, the majority of that bomb plant, right? Poised for a retake, mind you. Gen.G was all in the right spots. But something that I think is so critical to their game plan on Haven that we just saw, and we didn't get to see it there, is the retake Rain of Flashes, okay? Earlier on in this half, we saw it successfully, almost successfully work. But it was, I think it was blocked by a jet smoke or something. But right there, buying light armor instead of 2 flashes on the eco where you're planning to retake anyway, I feel like that could have definitely been much scarier for Equinox, but Gen.G almost making it easy for them. That said, D-Cup opening things up with a nice entry over there at A main. And for the simple fact that, you know, Equinox has not necessarily been finding the entries in the last Haven map that we were just talking about. You know, now we've seen a couple of these rounds where Gen.G overextends, overpeaks, gets a little over aggressive. And I think Equinox, because they are so good at regrouping around the map and playing together, as we're seeing towards B right here. You know, there's 3 members of Gen.G that have rotated to A, and all the marbles in the entire strategy for Equinox is coming to fruition now over at B. Now, the test is, can Mikael hold?
This is going to be sucky. Because imagine it. Yeah, I was going to say, it's the same scenario as before. Rolling Thunder comes out. Here comes the recon dart. He's just going to spray through. One kill. He's looking for more, but they're spraying it back. It's still a 4 versus 3 in favor of Equinox. They salvage their spike. They're still moving inside the area, but they've wasted enough time here for Mikael to allow his teammates to rotate if they want to. But look at the minimap. They're actually running away. You do have PL1 that's running towards line because they know they invested a lot of money into that round. They want to save it into the next. So they forfeit that round. If Mikael actually maybe got another kill or two, then definitely you're going to see that retake coming in from Gen.G. But they're actually going to forfeit that round and give it to Equinox to make it 7-3. And another thing though here, Lex, as you were saying before, they're able to adapt on the fly now for Equinox. They knew at that point there was one round where Huynh actually walked down in front of the A main, got that pick onto, I'm pretty sure it was still Decop at that point as well, and he dashed away back into the site. Decop knows this is happening from time to time. If that money is right for Gen.G, that an operator is going to come out, and there's a possibility that Huynh does the same thing. And he read it like a book, he got that kill, and he actually even executed Huynh. He was still walking towards the line before he actually got spotted, or before he actually realized he got picked off. Yeah, they died. Yeah, he dies from the spike, but who cares? They got that round. And what? How many rounds is this so far for Equinox? They're looking super healthy for the last 2 rounds. Should be here for the half.
Where the hell's the spike?
Their economy's good, but you got to think about the stat line, Van Silly. You can't be dying at the bomb, man.
I'm here for the win, man. You won that big dub in the end. Who cares about the stats?
I'm just playing, but a couple things that I think we haven't really talked about the breach impact, okay? Yeah. And I think there has been, man, if we went back, there's already been some significant rounds where breach has come up huge. But right there, our observer did catch it. I think the fault line and its ability to kind of push people off, right there, just excellent utility usage from Decop. And I just love seeing a breach being used in this match that I really do think it's strong. And another strong B push with this breach utility off the back of a Hunter's Fury, creating a lot of space and a free frag for Mina onto Mikael. Take that 2 on the GMD. The B bomb site is lost. Gen.G in desperation. Outside the bomb site now. 3v5 retake scenario, and this half is already mostly lost to you.
Yep.
So this is a real tough round to lose if you're going to opt to save.
And
but it might just be a scenario where you need to.
Yeah, and speak of the devil, sorry Lex, when you're saying how breach was so useful, that first fault line forces Mikael out of position. A flashpoint allows Mina to get into the site in a corner where he actually does get the backstab onto Mikael, and then a flashpoint into Boathouse to allow them to get the last kill onto GMD. That fight was super well done. They're looking to hunt down Gen.G to not allow them to get any weaponry, any economy moving into the last round of the first half. But Huynh at least is holding his ground with his operator. This could be the moment of salvation into the next. But Equinox are looking very good here on this first half attacker side of Haven. Almost a kill onto Sean. Well, that's good enough here for the key players again of Gen.G to stay alive. But when we talked about key players here at this point though, Lex, look at Sean. Here. Impact player on the first map. Unfortunately not as much on this one here.
That's what I'm saying, man, is that I feel like their strategy from Haven, they're almost every round trying to apply it here to Ascent.
Yep.
And unfortunately, it may be a time in game together. It may be just we haven't played enough Ascent defense and scrims. But it seems as though the pieces just aren't where they need to be in a lot of the scenarios, right? We've seen Mikael really step up. Being over here, there's the B anchor. Here we go again. GMD being tested. Fast P push coming out from Equinox. Mina will fall this time, though. PL1 already stacked towards that boat area. Huynh will find one as well. Some of this is a 4-on-2. GMD cleaning up the last 2 with crispy headshot and a pancake. Decop falls. And wow. Strong round to end with Gen.G really commanding that entire push. Finally shutting down Mina, who's just like been sprinting up that sidewalk. I'm impressed with how Equinox is playing this game, and of course the scoreline's reflecting that.
Yeah. And when we talk about Omen, that could be that silent killer lurking from the shadows. Sometimes he can get the assassination kills out in the open, out in broad daylight, because he was just maneuvering through the smokes and the cages just well enough for him to just lurk down and get the backstabs onto the sidewalk. Literally this run right here. Look at them. They never expected GMD to come in from that sidewalk side, and they were just out and exposed. And that was just a perfect play there from GMD. Finally to say, look, you've ran away enough times with this first half, winning 5 rounds in a row here for Equinox, and now it's for them to try to bring it back on the attacker side. And that camera, as it gets popped up very soon here from a repositioning from the Cypher of Equinox, that should be the call now that they're ready for this retake on the A side.
Strong push coming out here for Gen.G, but of course the bomb site is empty. Fatboy has yielded it already, and as you mentioned,
Spike planted.
Hammer does get a tag over there inside of main. Still there. They haven't cracked it yet, so that'll be useful on the retake. However, Pancakes giving away what really seems like a free frag jumping out of that window without the smoke up. Unfortunate. GMD will find two of his own. We didn't see it, but crispy headshots coming out from him. Mikael finds one more, and just decomp in a 1v5. A casual clutch ace for a breach. We've seen it happen before, haven't we? I've never seen that happen. We could imagine that it could happen. And he is coming out here with a vengeance. However, time not on your side, positioning not on your side, and GMD definitely not on your side. Finding 3 on the round. Well played to him. Gen.G, losing an 8-4 half on Ascent, even if it is your defensive side, I know a lot of people love to think of maps in terms of, oh, it's defense or attack sided. I don't subscribe to that magazine, but fair enough. I just think that Gen.G really, if you're winning the pistol and you're feeling confident, you're still hitting your shots, which they are. Yeah. Right? This could be strategic misplays in the defense that are really exacerbating the scoreline. So for them to pick up this pistol is not just a sign of hope, but it means that Equinox is definitely not out of the woods yet. Yeah.
And as we have this garbage time, I don't think it should be around coming in from Equinox. I mean, they tried to press forward early to try to get some control towards the A side, but it's not going to happen. So I'm going to take that time and talk a little bit about that pistol. Equinox did a good job, I think. From that camera that was placed from Fatboy towards Wine, they decide to circle back, give up the A side, and have 2 players push forward towards Catwalk to go for the big flank later. The only mistake was that while everybody's rotating forward, they did not expect that their opponents were going to rush through the sliding door. Usually you close that door and you just hold inside that site, but Gen.G pushed forward and pressed against them to regain control of the catwalk side, which allowed Gen.G to win that round. So now that you have these players looking out of position here with the eco for the defenders, a nice dig from Nina, but not a complete kill because it is a rain up, because it is an overheal, and Pancakes is going to hold the site on his own. That's the one from Peacock. They're just all dropping like flies. A flawless round, barely any damage done against Gen.G. And they're looking very good on the attacker side, at least for the first few rounds. But here comes not necessarily the first test, because they kept so many Spectres from that previous round into this one here.
Yeah, checking the score lines here. Really, I mean, we highlighted Sean maybe underperforming a bit, and I talked a little bit about why that may be. Just maybe the overall strategy not being there for Gen.G on defense, but Fatboy struggling on Cypher, which is not necessarily an agent you see top fragging, mind you.
Yep.
But these scorelines do matter to some extent, I think, especially on younger players, maybe less experienced players, where confidence and your emotions in games sometimes can get the better of you. And I wonder whether or not this is like almost an Achilles heel for a team like Equinox, where they're players that are on the more difficult agents or maybe struggle to perform sometimes, yield results where you kind of have to have somebody like Mina step up and find you a lot of kills that you wouldn't otherwise get. But the A push is coming in strong, and Gen.G has outwitted and outmaneuvered the side of Equinox, faking a little bit of a cat presence, maybe into Garden, and they all peel off the A bomb side, get it for free. They're not wanting to give away anything for granted there, and Mina and Pancakes will find the first 2 on the retake. So GMD now finding a second one through the smoke is not quite ready to give up now, finds a third, and now it's just decomp on the breach in a 1v2. Hasn't collected, I don't think, on a single clutch yet today, so this could be a huge moment for him, stepping up not only just in the sense of being able to win the round for his team, but man, almost gets it. Win will find the headshot. I really thought Decomp had he had the read, he knew what the situation was, and he did everything right. Yeah. Mina just hitting his shots, Win just hitting his shots, closing the round out. Gen.G, they look like they're about to tie this up at 8-8, right? Yeah. This is a crumbling economy from Equinox fans, Silly, and I'm curious to know your thoughts on what you're seeing so far and how Gen.G's playing this attack side. Yep. I think they're doing a lot of, or at least on that round, it was a split more or less that moved towards Garden, and the fact that they were able to just select into A like that, a little bit of a blunder, I think, from Equinox, but Sean is gonna get a free one on the Mina there.
Yeah, with this eco that's coming in, or a mixed buy that you have right now for Equinox, it doesn't look good because they're looking to play single plays and try to catch their opponents off guard. So we'll take the time to reflect on that previous round. And the triple stack there on that catwalk, was what was perfect for Gen.G to overtake that area. I think Equinox at that point were comfortable to play a retake, but maybe did not expect that much pressure on 3 players playing with Spectres on that tree side. And another thing too, just to reflect as well on to Sean. I think Sean, the reason why he was low fragging as well on Gen.G's side was also the fact that I don't think he was contested that much. He was forced to play a lot of rotates at that point too on the defender side of all areas where, you know, if they came face to face versus Sean every single time, maybe it would have been a different story. But now that you're seeing the Leers are coming into play, when we talked about it before on Haven, the Leers on their executions are perfect, and it's starting to help out as well on these plays of how they got into the site on the A side to start things off early. So now, Sean, look at that. He's at the helm. He has 3 players right behind him, and this could be another opportunity for him to just be that first point of contact and get the entries. And this is going to be the determining point. Our question mark for Sean. Now on the attacker side, can he actually press forward?
Oh yeah, make no mistake. I mean, this is where he thrives, right? This is Arena after all, where attack side is where you're going to be getting a lot of your frags. And for Gen.G now, being able to put him in a situation where he's going to thrive is what most important. And unfortunately, the smoke is not out. He peeks preemptively. A misstep, a misplay. And now it's a 4v4 situation with DXN holding rock solid in the back of the bomb site as he drops off an ultimate win with knives out, ready for blood. And unfortunately, he just draws his own, falling on his bullet almost. And Mikael facing intense pressure, both from site and CT. And so it's just PL1 stuck over here at Switch, while GMD lays blind over at Logs. And I think this retake is not necessarily in a rush. They're not, the bomb is not planted yet. And it collapses either way.
Yep.
GMD now in a 1v4 with it all on his shoulders, but seems so difficult and unlikely now for him to even escape the switch position, the crossfire that lays before him. That said, positioning forward, carefully taking his next gunfight, playing the angles. Unfortunately, the kill does not come out for him. Rather, the Omen diff go in the way of Pancakes. And so now Equinox answering back after a series of unchallenged rounds, picks up their 9th. Mina has an operator on hand. I think the other side of this that Gen.G can kind of pick at as far as like something that's good coming into this round, Van Silly, is how many ultimates they have.
Yep, no, definitely. I mean, they have the Empress, they have a Hunter's Fury, they have the Blade Storm to definitely help out, but the thing is, Mina has that as well. So he could go Operator and Blade Storm as well to watch that B side. But for Gen.G, yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate for Sean as he was trying to get the entry, but smoke was in there, and you saw, unfortunately for PL1, sometimes an audible Q at this level is good enough for you to get dispatched. So well done by Pancakes to spray through his own smoke and get that kill onto that shed side. I think it was GMD smoke because he was actually smoked towards defender spawn. That said though, Pancakes, as we speak about him, decides to fall back as he was looking for some early map control towards his mid side. DXN did enough. He saw 2 towards that back of the site, towards the back of middle rather, and you have Mikael that's trying to answer back with a Hunter's Fury towards that tree side to allow Gen.G to push forward, but they weren't able to capitalize through that Hunter's Fury to gain some control, and now a smoke comes back out for Equinox, which is perfect for Cute Fat Boy and his teammates to go for this crossfire, but now that recon dart forces him out of position into retreat into the A side, and now they go back for another attack. What's going to happen here at this point? It's just Cute Fat Boy that's going to be the second point of contention, with the first one that's going to be the point of contact, and that's how you played when you get nearsighted, play super close towards the entrance, 2 headshots, a hat trick to combine onto
30 seconds left.
It's a 4 versus let's go grim for Gen.G to take the site, and with 25 seconds left on the clock, well, we're gonna have you guys gonna stay. You get this round, you take the lead by 2, and we'll see you on to the next.
Wow. I mean, just from my perspective, just kind of watching that, I was very much edge of my seat, white knuckling that entire situation, because at the end of the day, that was like real close quarters. If you just miss your first kill, maybe you get blinded a little bit harder than you thought you were, maybe you made a misstep or your first bullet doesn't land. There's so many things that can go wrong for Cute Fat Boy. Instead, he capitalizes and collects on 3 big frags, right? If he falls there, it's not as though there's an empty bomb site behind him, but the fact is they are looking to build an economy. They're looking to command the rest of this half, but sitting at 10 rounds now and close it out. So to be able to hold your position in that way, to be able to dominate that angle and ultimately just get you know, what I would say is a relatively easy round on the board for Equinox.
Yeah.
It's huge, especially coming out from Keith Fatboy, who I've already, you know, regrettably, I'll say, touched on as somebody who's I'm looking to see perform a little bit better than he has been. So a nice clean 3K coming out from him.
And on top of that, Lex, they also had the cyber cage up towards tree side, so it was a big individual play that had to be done by Keith Fatboy. Because if it didn't happen, then Pancakes was stuck towards that tree side. But this round here, Gen.G looks to explode inside that site. We're actually holding towards the back full house once again. But the angles are still holding true here for the defenders. That's 3 kills, and they are doing their job. Easily collapsing on that retake as well, and pinching in forward against Gen.G. And now they're up 11-8. As we said, as this is Gen.G's map, and they're looking so good here for the attacker side. As soon as the money starts getting right here for Equinox, they're definitely continuing the charge on this second map. This is something that I talk about a lot here, Lex, where, and I want to know your thoughts actually at the same time, for a team that loses pistol and that loses the second round in this, let's air quote it as old economy, because we're still playing the older patch, it's so hard for them to collect 4 or 5 rounds or come back from that deficit, and they usually lose 4 or 5 rounds on the first half.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do just with the fact of being able to snowball an economy. It's really tough to break a team's bank without winning 3 or 4 rounds in a row of your own, right? This is not an unfamiliar situation, I'm sure, for these teams, but I wonder whether or not it's playing a significant role in Gen.G's ability to perform here on the attack side, because it didn't seem as though, you know, after winning pistol, it's something that's insurmountable or not a situation where they can come back from it. They've already collected some rounds, but the defensive side has not yielded positive results overall for them. And now Equinox on their 11th round are pressing them back over this A push, just willing to retake, willing to step back. Fatboy picks up 2 coming out there, and A main is just a slaughterhouse for a moment. Fatboy was all there was. And Win's gonna fall from D-Cop above, stand down through that health position, and Mikhail does what he can, but it's not quite enough. Trying to hold solo on a retake, but 1v3 now. Gen.G, definitely a player that can do this. Can do this.
30 seconds left.
A player that can do this. 5-1-5-2, almost collects a 3rd. Man, if I had stumbled through that clutch, I would have felt like an idiot. But you know what? GMD, well done, man. That was almost a really nice try. 12-8 now. Equinox. This is kind of what I was saying with your question, Vansili, which is like, even if Gen.G won that round, okay? Imagine he wins that 1v3. Sure, they're going to get a full buy in this round, but you're not breaking the money of Equinox. You're not putting yourself in a situation where, you know, you can turn the tide of this entire half over in just a round or two. So this is a test of gun rounds. This is a test of overall strategy. Are you winning your clutches? Those are the questions that a lot of the times in these matches that are usually closer than we give them credit for. You know, it's 12-8 now.
Yep.
A lot of the time, I feel like it's a game of inches where these teams are maybe not quite playing in sync as well as they could together. And I'll go back and highlight it once more. Earlier on in the game, we saw Asuna kind of being out of position for the retakes or being picked off prior to them. And if that's your only flash player outside of a paranoia on a retake, and that's your whole strategy, then a lot of these retakes are falling flat. A lot of the time on defense, it seemed like Equinox was in full control. And so looking into this attack side half, I wanted to see Gen.G, you know, especially when you're talking about building that early bank that you mentioned, almost run away with it and make this a reverse scenario, but it didn't happen. Equinox has just, you know, I think stepped up to a level that they were not able to come to on Haven. You know, we saw Mina and Pancake specifically performing quite well, but we didn't see Cute Fatboy. We didn't see DXM. We didn't see D-Cop playing how they're playing right now, which, you know, sometimes means that it takes 14 or 15 rounds into a match before you collect your first 3 kills or whatever it may be, or your first good round. You do something useful and impactful for the team, whatever. But all 3 of those players that I just, you know, mentioned have had those rounds here coming out. And that's just a huge mindset change. Yeah, definitely. If you're in a situation where you're down a map and you just need to find an opening on your opponent's map pick, right? Like this Gen.G is no slouch on Ascent. I think something like 65% win percentage is not bad. Yep. Certainly not bad. So I'm sure this is a situation for Gen.G where they've got whatever guns they can. They have a Spectre on Sean, which playing the Reyna isn't the worst thing. And I don't necessarily think that if you're maybe underperforming or struggling or just not having a great map, like run and gun, hold W and use your Spectre if that's what you need to do. But
yeah,
I think this is a test for Gen.G and resilience, right? Whether or not they can actually push this to OT, and it all starts after this timeout.
Yeah, and when you mention a couple of players that needed to perform a little bit better, you saw it from Cute Fat Boy. That was 2 big rounds that came out of him, and that was like 5 kills actually in 2 rounds that he had. The other thing right now too for Equinox, or should I say for Gen.G, is they're starting to look a little bit more how we know Gen.G, right? It's like, hey, if there's going to be an Empress or something happening and a dash comes in, we know the execution is coming towards the A side, so we can stack towards the area, or we kind of know how to reposition ourselves, where Equinox is taking full advantage of that once they have the money right. And look at this, GMD, they're just going to look for a set piece for an execution towards this B side once again. And what happened? We sort of fall back into the back of the side, turtle back, and try to fight back at the same time. Big cages come out though from Cute Fat Boy, and that's going to spot a few people and get the kill onto Sean. And I wonder if that was a recon guard that came out or his own camera. That being said, though, it's still going to be GMD pushing forward towards the defender's spawn and say, look, it's not over yet. We're still going to try to fight into this game. They know when it's towards Boathouse, and they could press in right now, and DXN has to come up huge. Unfortunately, he doesn't. Smokes to come out. Mina trying to spray through with his operator. Decomp doing the same thing, but he's got 3 flash points to work with too. So it doesn't matter if a cage comes up or even a smoke comes in. It's a 3 versus 2 where they can retake this site. He's still waiting for this fault line to charge up. He does still have a flash point. There's 3 seconds left. He's going to flash his whole team. He's still going to manage to make it through. He gets the first kill. But win comes in and keeps the dream alive for Gen.G.
Okay, so this is a little bit. This is one of those scenarios where the breach. It's almost like NA hasn't quite ironed out. I don't know. Not a whole lot have I seen breach players. Let me backtrack a little bit here. I haven't seen breach players perform consistently in NA the way that maybe you would look to EU and see some of the breach players and how good that they've been developing their own utility. Like right there, you mentioned the fault line. If he had been charging up a fault line, that would have been perfect. Because those jet smokes, unfortunately, blocked line of sight to those breach flashes. They were ineffective to players in Boathouse and on site. So you're almost negating all of the breach utility by smoking there. Unfortunate. Almost was successful, but it didn't happen. Equinox now at 12-9. 3 rounds to work with. But, you know, you have a Spectre over here at Catwalk. It's not exactly the best buy in the world, and the A press is already underway. Decomp falls to an entry of PL1, but Cute Fat Boy, who's been playing exceptionally in the second half of this game, picks up 2, and suddenly this is a very winnable round for Gen.G and Equinox alike.
The attempt to still try to get into the site, it pays off into fruition as Mikael finally opens it up, and they take an open site finally. But a 3 versus 2, they break that door immediately for Equinox. Only a Spectre, as you mentioned before, so pretty low buy for the defenders here on this attempt of a retake, but an upgrade still comes in for Mina. With that glass window being broke down early, they could still sneak back towards his catwalk and play off the dart. So the dart comes out, it gets shot off. They know there's one towards Hell, but that's it. They don't know where the other 2 players are at. They have a perfect locker, they have a passive generator, and that is a perfect play in the end for Gen.G. Keep one guy to still pay attention to where that dart is going to go, and you know usually when a Silva plays on a retake, he's not going to bounce it anywhere else, but like maybe on that beam, or maybe towards the wall of the spawn site, and it pays off into their favor to stay alive once again into this one here.
Yeah, and I mean, we were just talking about it a moment ago, but here we are finally at the point where Equinox's money has been broken. It only took 3 rounds to get there. But, you know, being able to force into this round, at least making sure that you can buy next, I'm sure is how they're going to operate in this round, right? They have several Stingers, they've got a Spectre, and they've got a Sheriff on hand. Play together. Play in a situation where you can trade off with your teammates, and Gen.G has been showing a consistent propensity to be playing together as 5 on these takes, right? So make sure you have teammates nearby that are ready to play, and here it is. Mina over here at A main is going to be first contact with the Stinger in hand, and oh wow. He does not realize how close they are. He falls right away, and Pancakes, his cover's blown as well. Fortunately, his shot dart's going to be the one that kills him, but Decomp's ult is going to yield ultimately nothing, and that's unfortunate because had Mina lived, had we had a situation where there was 3 players of Equinox pushing into that A main, that could have been disastrous for Gen.G. That said, still player here on the A bomb site is DXN. Cute Fat Boy over there on Catwalk. The push will come in from Gen.G towards A still, so this still could eventually go the wrong way for them, but
oh my god.
Cute Fat Boy will find 2 nice spray transfer with the Spectre to find that second headshot. That was clean and pretty.
Oh yeah.
But not quite enough. This is now a situation where you have match point, of course, in Equinox, 4th round in a row, but Gen.G clawing their way back into the light. getting up to this point now where they can actually take command of an attack side and look like they're the well-oiled machines that they clearly think that they are on this map. Their map pick, after all, I expect them to have a plan coming into this round, and hopefully, you know, Equinox has not necessarily been playing. I won't say that it was them playing poorly over the last several rounds at all. I think Gen.G is finally just starting to play together. So tough to crack the attack of Gen.G, but Equinox still sitting on 12, and could be due for 13 or OT following this round here.
This is big right now, actually. Just an owl drone was enough for them to close the door for Equinox. So Mikael is trying to look down towards his mid side, but oh my god, look at Equinox. They're actually putting out an owl drone themselves, which actually puts their Jet Mina in a great position towards B main. We're actually looking for this split, so they kind of read Gen.G into that. They're like, okay, owl drone towards mid side, we close the door, we're gonna let them think that they have mid control for an eventual split. So it comes down for a big fight towards the back, but the up shot is missed. So after that, if they miss a second one, it might be the cue for them to say, hey, let's just try to explode and get into this B side. But look at where Mina's at. He's just by the orb. He's just waiting for these guys to move forward. They have no flashes to work with. The timing looks to be right, and the spike is down. A second kill to come forward, but Mikael is able to retaliate. So it's 4 versus 4, sorry, but they do have a Hunter's Fury to try to open up the site to allow the rest of the guys of Gen.G to move inside market.
30
and it
seconds
pays
left.
off in dividends. Pancakes to fall. They overtake the site. 27 seconds left. Big flash coming in from the and Decop is moving forward, but Gen.G, Win and GMD gets the last kills. And that is going to be it.
Switching
we
sides.
Are going into overtime in this matchup.
No doubt about it. The momentum has shifted back in the way of Gen.G. I mean, that many rounds, letting that many rounds slide in a row, right? Like, they went for a couple of those clutches where it was 2-on-3, 2-on-4, and then in the very last round, you know, last two rounds, really, they're not having full buys. They're strapped for cash a little bit. They're in a situation where, you know, it's a must win. For me, I think Gen.G, you know, as well as they're playing, it's more of a what's the response in OT coming out from Equinox, because I do think that Gen.G has kind of figured out the attack side, and they almost began to start to figure out the defense towards the end of the first half. So, you know, as well as I think Gen.G really kind of was able to crack the economy, slow the game down a bit, and put themselves in a position to win this game. I mean, the fact is, we haven't seen a response from Equinox in some time. So I expect Gen.G to take this OT, but you know, I'm anxious to see what Equinox has as an answer.
I even want to know what Gen.G is going to do in the attack, and we're soon going to see that into the next round. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. Overall, in this round, every single player are going Phantom and Armor, no Operator, and it starts with the Owl Drone to just clear out one, thinking that Win might be holding there with a glass cannon Operator, but it's not the case. Open sight for them to move in, a dash in from Mina, and they're going to have an easy spike plant to the door closing down, but as soon as they hear the sliding door, the door has been immediately busted. Actually, has it been? Because I was still hearing that come down. So the sliding door still comes down and Spike has been planted. The retake's attempted from Gen.G to get the first kill.
First one from Sean, who we haven't heard from in a while. The retake is stalled. Waiting for these darts and smokes to clear, pressing out of heaven now. Sean throws the first flash, gets one more, but I believe Win is already in. Yes, find one, but Sean finds another. Third on the round, and finally coming alive late in the game is Sean with 3 huge kills. Win also collecting 2 on the retake. Gen.G, I mean, you heard it right there. Flawless retake. Excellent work from the veteran squad of Gen.G, showing that they are
match point.
Still great on ascent.
Yeah.
I think, you know, you mentioned at the beginning of that last round, actually, just the differences in attack and how Gen.G being able to kind of approach those last 4 or 5 rounds in the driver's seat, knowing that Equinox won't have an answer either by way of utility or strategy. Now Equinox has had a little bit of time to think about, like, okay, here's what we're going to change up. And it's not readily apparent to me if they're changing positions around the map, but for sure, they have to have an answer for this B push, which is coming out immediately from Gen.G, and Mina says no, collects the first headshot on the Win. Jet on Jet Crime being committed here. Sean also getting clapped for the smoke by Mina, who is having a, once again, tremendous series, coming alive in the second half and the OT for Equinox in a game where he's been top fragging throughout. I just, hats off to the guy. He's clearly got skill. He's clearly got talent. And not for lack of already mentioning it, but clearly demonstrating that he can compete with some of the best players in the game and dominate them at times, as he is just bragging out against Gen.G. And GMD Fu, you know, both these teams are finally exploring. I say both these teams, but really Gen.G has been exploring up mid a lot more on their attack side. We saw Cute Fat Boy attempted a couple times to the side of Equinox, but GMD has successfully exploited map positioning now to at least know that nobody's in market, that the B-bomb site is either a turtle shell or in full retake mode. So the play will be coming here at any moment towards B as GMD continues to creep outside.
30 seconds left.
B.
Was all off a fake shadow step too. You saw that Cute Fat Boy decide to rotate all the way back towards the catwalk at A side when he heard that shadow step move forward, thinking that GMD was going to go over that trapwire. But now that he has a smoke come up, he puts it towards spawn side, and they're trying to close in towards the side with only 10 HP. DXN does his job. Mikael opens the other one.
Left.
So now, just like that, it's a 2 versus 2. PL1 in a great position so far with the spike plant, but the HP is still in favor of Equinox, and they still have. They should still have a lot of utilities to work with. Dane to come through, a 1 versus 1, a flashpoint still available, and a fault line that does connect onto Mikael. So he's going to push forward. D-Cup clutches the 1 versus 1, and they're going to bring this into double overtime for Equinox. That was sick.
Let's go, D-Cop. Wow, I honestly, like, Gen.G had really, I was expecting them to win that round after Mikael cleared Mina in the backside. They knew that the jet was still over at B. Mina tried to get a little cheeky and be like, all right, you killed my teammate back here. There's nobody else here, I promise. That was a lie. And Mikael sniffed it out right away. And of course, you know, being in a situation where it's a 1v1, and you must win the round, you know, D-Cop, I'm sure his heart's beating. I'm sure his hands are a little sweaty after that one. But 17 and 20 is a solid breach performance, especially when we're looking for somebody on this team other than Mina to really kind of be stepping up on this attacker side, where they had so much success in the first half. Excuse me, the defender side, where they had so much success. No, I had that backwards. You know what I mean? Yeah. Equinox is now on the attack side, where they had so much success in the first half. And I wonder whether or not Gen.G, you know, they do have 2 players over here towards catwalk, but I don't think they have any kind of information on where Equinox is around the map. So I think this is a blind setup here, which is fine. One way over here at the catwalk doorway. Nothing spotted by GMD yet.
Yeah, they're just trying to play that retake on A side. Focus up here towards this catwalk. Counter paranoia. D-Cup does get the first kill though, and he picked up the orb before. So they want to make sure that he's able to get the kills if he can, and he does so. That means that the ultimate is charged up. This is going to be a perfect play for them on this post-plant situation, especially look at his position towards Hell. Now they're going to get the spike plant. Yeah, exactly, and the door has been closed too. Now the silver drone, it has to spot them, but he doesn't. So he's still in a hidden spot. And that could be the cue as soon as he launches this out to just have them focus towards the sliding door as the door has just been broken. There you go. He's using it off the recon dart from GMD. Or sorry, not from GMD, from Mikael. But the Rolling Thunder doesn't do enough. It's just wasting some time. The Aftershock at the same time as they're doubling up towards Hell. They spot now Wind coming in through the sliding door, but that clock is still ticking for Equinox to take the lead in this overtime finally, but it's not over yet. It's down to a 2 versus 2. We're sticking on that spike. We're holding the ground, but we're trying to go for that wide swing, thinking that Pancakes was so close. So off the spike, Pancakes
switching sides.
2 versus 1, and
Match
Equinox
point.
takes the lead. And it's been so many rounds played so far here, Lex, but it's not over yet for Equinox. They're looking to win this to bring this to a 3rd map.
Wow. Okay, a couple things. First of all, incredible round here from Equinox. Okay, but that retake was solid. Yeah. Okay, they had the advantage on the bomb site in the closing seconds of the round. But PL1, man, pros don't fake, homie. You had 6 seconds, 7 seconds on that bad boy, and you had the 1v1 with distance. Just stick it. That said, NT, tremendous effort there from the side of Equinox to win that round. And the fact that they did is just a testament to how good this team can be. And the fact that they're doing it under pressure now just speaks volume to the character and talent that they have. So, you know, Gen.G was looking like the clear favorites to prevail here in OT, right? And they collect the first round. It's looking real good. But suddenly they're in a must-win situation in Map 2 overtime against Equinox on their own map pick. So this series is not only getting more interesting by the minute, but this match, I mean, it's still impossible to call in terms of whether or not some team has a clear advantage. Because time and again, these clutches are just going the way that they probably shouldn't, and I think that's fantastic. Yeah, I can't wait to see who wins the rest of this match because it's chaos now at this point.
when you've played so many rounds in overtime, it's just going to be, hey, let's pug it out. Who's going to be the stronger player out of this one? And so far, it's going to be map control for Gen.G as Twin spotted Mina and forces Mina out of position. So this allows now Gen.G to have the 4 players go for a split into the B side where there's only
30 seconds
one
left.
player playing there, and DXN has to come up to you. Oh no! You have Jet Win give his position away, which allows Mina to move forward, at least to get the first kill. There's only 20 seconds left on the clock, but thankfully they do have the smokes and everything to work with for Gen.G. You will be able to get the spike down. Win connects onto Cute Fat Boy at the same time as he regains position on the market side. And now that he dashes back towards B main, it should be good enough here for the 5 players. No, there's a big flash, but one kill masses out of that, and it's a perfect play for Gen.G in the end at a post-plant situation, and Gen.G takes the lead. Tie it up into another overtime.
Forcing another OT, and I wonder whether or not in the feeling of that round, what I got just as the defenders kind of accepting the B push that's coming in, and of course you can't win every gunfight. Sometimes you're going to lose it.
Yeah.
But the thing that bothers me a little bit about how that round panned out was no secret really where Gen.G was going, and to yield the entry and the bomb site as quickly and capitulate as fast as they did, even though the bomb wasn't planted right away, and even though they didn't necessarily have like full site control the entire time, it just seems as though like Equinox was like, yo, let's win this round, let's just play standard and play our game, without realizing like, hey, Gen.G does 2 things successfully right now. They're walking on mid, they're hitting B main. Right, the A play has been there, but ultimately, like these are spots where you're getting information constantly, or they're telegraphing it. Right, there hasn't been a whole lot of fakes coming out from Gen.G, and it's just unfortunate having the round advantage, needing to win by 2 in overtime. Equinox, I feel like that round was not. That's not a round you feel good about, because it almost feels like you gave it away for free. You know, some valiant efforts there to claw it back, but mounting another overtime here. You know, as we press forward, it just seems like Gen.G gets stronger and stronger as the map goes on.
I think for both ends though, Lex, is they're both showing a lot of resiliency for both of these teams, and it's really showing them, giving them fruition here, whether it's on attack or defense. It's just one player or two that's able to open things up and just get these clutch rounds, right? So it becomes now at this point in overtime, regular counting rounds number 29 now coming up here. Who's gonna last longer in this 1 versus 1, right? So now we're looking to see with Mikael at this point. I'm wondering at this point if okay, he's coming back. So I think it was maybe a timeout, maybe a timeout for them to call on a strat, right? You're still allowed, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 30 seconds to discuss a strategy as a team. And if it hasn't been used yet for any of these teams, now's the right moment to do it, because it keeps going back and forth where, you know, they seem to take control of the round, Lex, but it just slips between their fingers in the end. Okay, we don't have that unpaused yet, so maybe it's just waiting to see what's going to happen with that. But what I was trying to say is, while we're still waiting here, is the round slipped through the fingers of any of these teams so far. So you need to try to reel everybody back with these timeouts to just regain your composure, stop bringing the hype up and the stress into these close rounds, and just recompose yourself into the round number 29.
Now, here's Equinox, 4 stack towards B main right away. Some presence is usually there, so this isn't exactly a straight-up tell that the whole team is there. And kind of what you're saying, and I retract, actually. I said something offhand and out of touch, really, a few rounds ago, which was like, it's chaos out here. I said something to that effect. And actually, this is one of the most controlled series. Both these teams are so controlled about where they are on the map, and they're giving each other a lot of respect in terms of not flanking. And I think like this is one of those matchups where it's coming down to these clutches because the teams are trading out so well. They're moving out of the bomb site together, and here it is. The B push comes out. GMD struggling a little bit to gain the composure. Mikael's rock solid on site for just a moment. It seemed like he was going to get a free one on Amina, but Decop and Mina capitalize. Mikael and GMD fall. And suddenly this is a 5v3 retake scenario where Gen.G, who is not at all strangers to these B pushes coming out from Equinox, seem to be getting caught off guard there just a bit. The set arrow landing on the back of the bomb site, unable to crossfire that Mina push down sidewalk, means that, you know, you're giving up an entire section of the B bomb site, really the heart of the bomb site, up to angles of the attackers. And unfortunately, it panned out immediately as described. Gen.G fell very, very soon. And even though GMD tried to reposition, it was just Decop had advanced so quickly onto the site. Actually, this retake, I was about to say, Fat Boy finding one daylight.
Remaining.
Okay.
It's 2 more kills.
One down.
And unfortunately, it's not going to happen, but like, there's a world in which maybe you hope or imagine that Win dashes into the bomb site for Steam, but not to be.
For the
Equinox,
stats.
once again, poised to take the match. I mean, being on match point is effectively meaningless if you're not stringing together consecutive rounds, obviously, right? So, you know, this has been must-win for both these teams for some time. Win sitting at 31 kills and 16 deaths. That man is on fire. Gen.G close behind him. Mikael with also 26.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're just hitting tab here. Observer's doing a good job of painting the picture of who the performers are on Gen.G just by looking at the scoreboard. And contrasting on the other side, you have a much more even distribution across Equinox. And I wonder whether or not, you know, this is the difference maker in this match, is all 5 players on Equinox stepping up in contrast to Haven.
This is still after 29 rounds of play, though. That's at this point. We're at the point where we might not have enough scrolling, like that timeline of scores between the maps on that scoreboard, or between the teams on the scoreboard. There's not enough space to scroll through all the rounds. It's so close right now for these two teams. And the last time that they actually had a 5 versus 3 into that site for retake, they had to save. So it looked grim for Gen.G to retake that site. This round comes in for Equinox, so they have to fight for their lives into this map once again for Gen.G. They get into the site, but a Shark Dart gets the first kill, and only now do we get the spike plan. That means everybody from Equinox has already rotated over. So they're looking for an early frag, aggressive peek. Any mistakes that they catch Gen.G off guard to get this, but Gen.G still stays strong. It's a trade after trade. We're looking to take control up this catwalk side. It's down to a 3 versus 1. Up to 1. This is huge. He gets 1, he gets 2. He knows the last one is at the left side corner, but he doesn't get it. Decop once again, the one that wasn't fragging for Haven, comes back on another clutch in this map on Ascent, and they are now bringing this to a third map, 16-14 versus Gen.G on Ascent.